Okay, today we are looking at the pillars of Indian life. What makes India India? What makes it distinct? What makes it different? Well, basically, what it comes down to is that India has this very complex caste system. And I don't know if you remember, but a couple of lessons ago we talked about what the caste system is, that it's this organization of you're born into a certain social class and you're never able to leave it. That's where you are. There's certain jobs that you have to have, there's certain people that you can marry and interact with, and you never are able to get out of it. It's what you're born into. So this caste system in India, it originally was four occupational castes that came from the Aryans. We had the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. And as time goes on, it's not something that goes away just because the Aryans go away. It's something that continues. And as time goes on, they add other castes and they add subcategories. And today in India, there are hundreds of major castes and there are thousands of minor or local castes. So it is very, very complex. Basically, the way that Indians view the caste is that if you are from a different caste, you are a different species. It's like if you're a Kshatriya and somebody else is a Vaisya, you'd be looking at them like, oh, you're a horse and I'm a dog. It's like totally different species. They don't even think of themselves as being of the same human race even. And so within this caste system, the higher your caste, the more pure you are, the closer to achieving nirvana or closer to achieving moksha or whatever Hindu or Buddhist belief it is, but the closer you are to being purest. And this caste system has a set of rules, and the rules will govern every aspect of your life, like where you can live, what you're able to eat, how you dress, what kind of jobs you can have, who you can interact with, lots of different things, what kind of education you can get, all kinds of stuff. And so the higher your caste, basically the stricter your rules are, because it's to protect you from the lower castes. You don't want to be polluted by the lower castes. The lowest ranked of the caste system are the untouchables. And they do the jobs that are considered impure, things that are going to pollute your soul, kind of thing, like digging graves, cleaning up excrement, cleaning the streets, tanning leather because you're working with animal fluids and that kind of stuff. There's even this belief, and they're trying to get rid of this in India today, but there's even this belief that touching an untouchable's shadow could cause you pollution, could hurt you. And so they used to require the untouchables to use a wooden clapper, and then they would clap it and let people know that they were coming, and so you could get out of their way so that their shadow couldn't accidentally touch you or couldn't accidentally touch your shadow and perhaps pollute you. So very, very antiquated system, but it is thousands of years in the making. And once you've gotten thousands of years under your belt of this is how life is, it's really hard to change. But they're making some changes. We're going to look at some stuff in class on that. Well, the effects of the caste system, it does have some benefit. Kind of weird to think that it would, but it does. It does create a very stable social order in India. Everybody knows what caste they belong to. They know what their neighbor's caste is. They know how they're supposed to behave. It also gives them a very strong sense of identity of who they are and what they're able to do, and a sense of like unity with other people of their same caste. And it does have some flexibility because it does adapt to changing conditions. 100 years ago, there were no computer jobs, but now there are. So where does that fit in the caste system? So they got to figure out where you're going to put in telemarketers, where are you going to put in computer operators, where are you going to put in airline pilots? Where do they fit in the caste system? So it does adapt in that way to changing conditions. So that's the caste system. Family life in India, basically they live in joint families where you have the parents and the children and the grandchildren and uncles and aunts and their children are all living in one dwelling, or as much as possible. And usually this is only for the rich, because really the rich are the only ones who can afford a house that's big enough for that. but also because the poor tend to die young, and so there's not a lot of generations living together. Usually the grandparents are dead before their grandchildren are born. The structure in the Indian family is very patriarchal. The father, or the oldest male, is the head of the household, but their power is somewhat limited. It's not like they get to have the final say in everything, because property belongs to the entire family, not just to the male. And so they do have to consult other family members before they begin making decisions about things. Children and parents, it's kind of an interesting relationship that they have. Children are supposed to learn the family duties. They're supposed to help provide, or the parents are supposed to provide security and unity. And in the Indian household, daughters are taught to serve and obey, and the sons are taught to honor their ancestors. Parents, their job is to arrange a good marriage. So really, the boys and girls don't really have much say in who they marry. And again, that's changing more today than it, but more so in recent years than 100 years ago. Women, it's kind of interesting because they got their freedom a lot earlier than other people around the world, or other women around the world, but customs change depending on where they live. Sometimes they have to, when they go outside, they have to cover themselves from head to toe, and that has a lot to do with whatever the religious beliefs are, and we're going to talk about how Islam comes into India and how that affects things. The higher caste women, if their husband dies, they're not allowed to remarry. And that's, again, a custom that has changed in some parts. But in some parts of India, some that follow the very traditional sense of Hinduism especially, they're not allowed to remarry. And in fact, in some parts of India, it's expected for her to become a Sita. And if you remember, Sita was Rama's wife in the epic poem, the Ramayana. Well, in the story, the Ramayana, Sita is kidnapped by the demon king Ravana, and since he's holding her prisoner, everybody kind of assumes that she got lucky, or he got lucky with her, kind of thing, that she was impure because there could have been sexual relations between her and the demon king. And so Rama shouldn't really keep her as a wife because she knew other men, kind of thing. And so in order to prove her virtue, Sita actually commits suicide in the story. And so in some parts of India today, even, it's expected that if your husband dies, to prove that you're a virtuous woman and that you will know no other man other than him, that you are expected to join him on his funeral pyre. Because in India, they don't bury you in the ground. They burn you because there's so many people. So that's a way to reduce the amount of cemetery room, is you burn to ashes. And so for the woman, it's expected that you join your husband in the fire and kill yourself, so that you will know no other man. It shows your virtue. Now, like I said, times are changing, and that's not quite the expectation anymore, but there are some parts of India where that is a very strong cultural tradition, where it's kind of the expectation for the area.